So first of all, we have shonen, then we can go a step ahead and go to seinen, which is aimed for more mature audiences. But however, what if I told you that we could also take a step back? Then we of course get Kodomo, which is, well, another type of anime that is not often talked about. So let's discuss it today. Hey guys, what's good? This is Dorian here. Today let's talk about Kodomo anime. What is Kodomo? Well, as you may know, shonen in the Japanese word, shonen is a Japanese word that literally means boy, whereas seinen is for more mature audiences. Likewise, Kodomo is a step back from shonen and is aimed at young kids, where Kodomo literally translates into kid in Japanese, or well, rather child in Japanese, but rather, surprisingly enough, this type of anime, though not very well known, is actually something we are very familiar with. What do I mean by that? So what I mean by that is the fact that Kodomo anime includes the type of anime that you have literally grown up watching, sometimes and very often so you may not even have realized you were watching anime. So some examples to list them would include, of course, Pokémon, Digimon, Bakugan, those kinds of shows. Also Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty is also a Kodomo anime, for those of you who did not know. But anyways, Kodomo anime is anime that is aimed at children. So the question arises, is there even any entertainment value to it? Well, since of course it's literally aimed at little kids, so will you really be able to enjoy it? The answer is no, or well, yes. But rather, to explain this, I would say that, in my personal opinion, it can go either way depending on the show. What I mean by that really is the fact that Kodomo anime is something that you might find yourself cringing when you watch. However, if you can see the beauty in the cringe, you may actually end up enjoying it, because sometimes you can actually embrace it and let yourself be a child again. And that really does make it enjoyable, even for me, in my personal opinion. However, I would also say that it may not really intrigue you the same way something that is aimed at your age group or a higher age group will. For example, a lot of young boys enjoy shonen or seinen. They might not really find the same intrigue. They may not be intrigued the same way by Kodomoko, or well, rather, what I mean by that in simple terms is, a kid is literally, or well, a guy is literally going to be more intrigued by the likes of Naruto or Berserk than he is going to be intrigued by literally Pokemon. That's literally what I'm saying in essence. That's literally what's gonna happen too. So, Kodomo anime, what do I think about it personally? I personally think that a lot of Kodomo anime are pretty great, including of course Pokemon. Now this is very important because Pokemon, in my personal opinion, is even more iconic than Dragon Ball and Naruto, since this is important because a lot of people will say that their first anime coming into anime was Dragon Ball or Naruto, but a lot of people really forget that Pokemon is also an anime, because a lot of people actually forget that Pokemon was an anime, or well, a lot of people didn't even know Pokemon was an anime while they were watching it somehow, because of the fork and stuff, most likely. But regardless, Pokemon is something that has impacted a lot of us and really deserves to be talked about. But what if I told you, aside from Pokemon, Bakugan, etc., there is actually another side of Kodomoko anime as well. What do I mean by that? So in my personal opinion, there's actually two types of Kodomo animes, where one is actually aimed for one is literally promotional material for games such as of course Bakugan or Pokemon or Digimon, whereas the other is just something that is legitimately just made for entertainment. Now let's actually talk about these anime. So I do not know how many of you may know about Doraemon, but Doraemon is a show that a lot of Asian kids actually grew up with. Likewise, there is another show called Shin-chan. These two shows really made a lot of Asian kids' childhood and are very nostalgic. So these shows really just followed main characters who were just silly children getting up to mischievous stuff and then ending up regretting it. And yeah, these were really just comedy shows. The fun part about it is though that I think the funny thing is that I think these shows like this actually still have a lot of entertainment value. However, stuff like Pokemon really does make itself really obvious that it's aimed at kids and is literally there to promote promote itself to the audience that is literally kids through via means of course flashy animations and stuff that literally screams buy me, buy me, buy me. Yeah. So that's why I really enjoy the types of shows like Shin-chan and Doraemon rather than, of course, Pokemon or Digimon. Although I will say that Pokemon is my favorite franchise of all time. In fact, I actually really enjoy the games, but not the anime as much, as the anime actually makes itself clear that it is aimed at children, and the fact of the matter is that after a while, Pokemon can feel really repetitive with how many generations there are now. And on top of the fact is that we literally had Ash for so many generations, even though we don't have him now. They actually milked it to the point where it got boring after a point. After Generation 6, I sort of lost interest in Pokemon, but rather the anime, I still play the games. But yeah, the anime started to feel just like whatever after Gen 6. Though I will say that Ash finally becoming a Pokemon Master was quite intriguing. And also, to get back on topic, in terms of Kodomo anime, I would also like to say that, did you guys know that the first ever anime made was actually of this demographic? I am of course talking about Astro Boy. Astro Boy is the show that actually ended up inspiring Dragon Ball. Astro Boy of course followed a robotic boy who actually had spiky hair and superpowers named Astro, who went around saving the day. Yeah, that actually ends up bearing a lot of similarities with Dragon Ball, since we also have a spiky haired guy who was actually in the first volumes a kid and went around saving the day, though he was not a robot. That's actually something that must be kept in mind. However, the inspiration is very obvious, and even Akira Toriyama himself admits to it, and that's something that really intrigues me. And I will also say that Astro Boy is something that still also has a lot of entertainment value, although you need to adapt to the older settings of the animation back then and the art style, because the art style and animation for the show were really old and by today's standards are very outdated. But yeah, if you can allow yourself to adapt to the setting, I do think that you may actually end up enjoying it too. I would also finally like to say that Kodomo anime is something that not a lot of people know about. In my personal opinion, that is something that does intrigue me also, because well, people know about shonen and seinen but not about Kodomo, while throughout their lives they have been surrounded by more Kodomo anime than they have been surrounded by shonen anime. In fact, I would also say that more people have seen more episodes of Pokemon than any shonen anime they have seen. I say most people because I'm just talking about the regular guy who does not watch a lot of anime. But regardless, yeah, here are my thoughts about Kodomo. A very hidden gem of a demographic, I would say, although at the same time not so much. But regardless, this has been Dorian, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. And make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Bye gamers, see ya. Yay.